After I came home from a wild night out, he just shrugged off my story and decided to divorce me. My husband warned me not to go to a party because he doesn't like me attending parties, but I didn't listen and went. Things got out of hand at the party, and my husband is not ready to listen to me. Now I'm being sent out of the house waiting for the divorce papers to be processed. My husband's mind is made up, and I don't know what to do or say that could change his mind. Hi, Redditors. My name is Felicia. I am 28 years old. My husband's name is Nathan, and he is 33 years old. Yes, my husband is 5 years older than me, but that didn't stop us from relating so well with each other as a couple. I don't mind choosing my husband over and over again, because he is really such an amazing person. Though we fought and disagreed on a regular basis, at the end of the day, we still managed to settle our differences. I love my husband so much because of how mature he is. Anytime I try doing something stupid, he corrects me with so much love and also puts up with my excesses. Most of the arguments we usually have were mainly caused by me, though he has his own share of blame in it sometimes. How Nathan and I met is really a funny but lovely story. We met at a parking lot at an event. Nathan and I argued on who to take the last spot then, because the space was occupied by the rest of the guests that arrived before us. We argued and even called each other all sorts of names. It's pretty a long story, and I wouldn't want to bore you all with it. Somehow the issue was resolved, and we ended up settling it at that spot. Before the end of the event, Nathan and I had already become friends. It was hard to tell that it was the same people that got into a heated argument to the point of calling each other names. Up till date, I still don't know how Nathan and I got talking before the end of that event. It was and still is funny to me. Sometimes Nathan and I do talk about that incident and laugh over it. It was our own love story at that time anyway. We became friends and we hung out a couple of times before we decided to settle down as a couple. Guys, Nathan and I only dated for 6 months before we got married. It was too sudden, right? I know. I still can't believe it either. I know there isn't a specific date as to how long to date your partner before settling down, but I felt like things happened too fast. Then I felt like we needed much time to really get to know each other. I was the type of person that wasn't ready to settle down. Don't get me wrong, guys. Nathan never forced me or imposed getting married to me at that period. We both were crazily in love with each other. I have never felt so much in love like that with the few guys I had dated before I met Nathan. Guys, I had a very wild past, which I'm not even ready to talk about the whole thing here. I dated 2 guys in the past and we broke up. After that, I got entangled with 2 other guys. But that time it wasn't a relationship, but a friends with benefits kind of thing. I was into that before I met Nathan. Things got serious between us, and I decided to end that lifestyle. At first, I never took what Nathan and I had seriously because I thought he also was the type of guy that wanted a friends with benefits kind of situation. Along the line, I realized that Nathan wasn't anything close to that, and it was at that point I told myself that I would hold on to him really tight. Honestly, I got tired of the friends with benefits situation and thought of being serious. Nathan had no idea about it because we never really talked about our past. It was a discussion we never had because he didn't see any need for that. Well, I'm glad we didn't because I wouldn't have been totally honest anyway. My past is something I wouldn't like to share because I had done lots of crazy things. The only person that might know about it should be my best friend Lily because we have been friends since childhood and definitely know a lot about me. We have also done a lot of crazy things together back then when we were still kids. Some of which, like I said earlier, that I wouldn't be sharing because I myself isn't proud of the things I did either. My marriage with Nathan is just 2 years old, and we are in the process of getting a divorce. Guys, isn't it too early? We haven't known ourselves that long or even explored marriage like we should have, and now we're getting a divorce? No, guys. I just can't let this happen. I want you all to help me out on this. After all, that was my major reason for coming here in the first place. I came to share with you guys what has happened between my husband and I so you guys could help me out. Someone recommended this space to me and I thought of trying it out. I haven't been on my best behavior since Nathan and I. I have been a handful to him and I terribly regret that. Honestly, guys, I haven't been myself since my husband chased me out of the house. It feels like my whole life revolves around my husband, and now that I'm no longer with him, it's as if my whole life has ended. At this point, guys, I'm gradually losing my mind. I want to get back with Nathan as soon as possible and get past this stage. Everything around seems boring without him. If I had known, maybe I wouldn't have gone to the party the first time. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten here. I still love my husband, guys, and I wouldn't like it if we both end up getting divorced. Before Nathan and I got married, he made me quit some of my old habits. He told me to tune down the way I partied and my drinking habits. I've tried a lot of things, but I had never tried smoking. Nathan loved the fact that I wasn't a smoker because he never liked ladies that did that. The only issue we had was the rate that I partied and drank. My husband loves going to parties and having fun, but not the kind of parties I like to go to. Nathan linked decent parties like dinner, birthdays, anniversaries, and all of that. While I like going to parties, there's lots of shots to go round and be free to do whatever we liked. One of the parties I loved the most was pool parties, and also housewarming parties too. In a month I could get up to 5 to 6 invites for a pool party back then before I met my husband. I always went with Lily, my best friend. It was fun for us back then, but since I met Nathan, he made me quit all of that. He always told me that kind of lifestyle doesn't suit me, and he wouldn't want to marry such a lady. I, on the other hand, didn't want to lose someone like Nathan because he was everything that I ever dreamt of in a man. It's safe to say that he was my ideal guy. I thought about all the things he had told me back then, and I decided to put an end to all of them, even though it was at the expense of my happiness. I said so because I'm always happy anytime I'm having a good time with my close friends, which is mostly partying in clubs, pools, or at the beach. It was my own type of fun. Nathan coming into my life at that time was a bittersweet experience for me. It was sweet for me because I was loved and valued. Nathan made me feel my opinion mattered even though it doesn't make any sense sometimes. But it was bitter because I had to put an end to all of my old habits and started doing stuff that would add value to myself. Things like going to book clubs with Nathan because he liked reading books a lot, to the point he had a small group of friends that they did read books together. I wouldn't lie, guys, it was very boring for me. Sometimes I get lost anytime we gather, and they are talking about a particular chapter in a book. Another thing Nathan made me do was attending drama play with him at the theater. It was more like a torture to me, because it wasn't my type of fun. I pretended to like it because I wanted to be a better person. At the end of each play, we watched Nathan would ask if I learned anything from it, which I would say yes, and then form a believable lie. As much as Nathan loved going to book clubs and watching drama play, he never forced me to do any of that with him. He only suggested I give it a trial, which I did, just to please him and make him think I have changed. At first I thought maybe I would like it and do away with my old habits and also get used to it, but guess what, guys? That never happened. I never liked that type of lifestyle because it was very boring for me. Sometimes I wondered how Nathan found all of that fun to do. Left for me, it's like torture because there's no good music that could make the place lively. I don't like attending gatherings where there isn't any music to dance to. I love dancing, and I'm very good at it. Like I said earlier, guys, I attended all of these places with Nathan back then because I loved him so much. I wasn't that lucky with men back then, and I didn't want to mess things up for myself when I met Nathan. There was something about him that just made me madly in love with him, and to keep such an amazing guy, I had to let go of some of my horrible habits. Don't get me wrong, guys. Nathan never gave me any condition when we were dating. He only told me how he didn't appreciate my kind of lifestyle and advised me to change and suggested things for me to do. I was left with the option to take it or not. I felt like it was torture because I was too attached with my lifestyle back then. It wasn't that easy for me to do away with it. I kept on trying with the hope that I would change from it completely, to be the new person Nathan wanted to see. I loved the way Nathan praised me and encouraged me to do better things for myself. After we got married, I made a decision to quit partying and drinking completely. I stayed 3 months without doing any of that, and Nathan praised me so well for it that got me encouraged. I thought to myself that if my husband would praise me that much for staying 3 months without drinking or partying, then he would do a lot more than that. So guys, that was how I stopped drinking and going to parties. But that only lasted for a year and a few months. At that time, Nathan and I were a year and 6 months of being married together. I got tired of everything because it was very boring to me. What made it worse for me back then was how my friends kept updating me whenever they had fun at any parties they attended. I told them about my decision of not going to parties with them any longer, which they respected. But I told them to always keep me updated anytime they went to any. Maybe that was the mistake I made. If I had wanted to do away with it, I shouldn't have told my friends to keep me updated. I thought that would make me not forget about it and keep me entertained anytime I was bored. But unfortunately, it didn't. Instead, I wished to be there with them. We also had a group chat where we talked about some random stuff. The group also didn't help matters. Everything that happened anytime a party was held was being discussed in the group. I stopped hanging out with them but didn't leave the group because some of the people there were my childhood friends. It was hard to exist in the group. I said to myself that there's nothing wrong if I would be in the group so as I wouldn't participate in whatever activity they would want to do. Doing that for a year plus, like I mentioned earlier, wasn't really easy for me. My husband, on the other hand, hardly goes out of town for anything. That made it difficult for me because I wasn't able to sneak out to spend time with my friends whenever they were outside having fun. Nathan also rarely goes out except to his book club, where we usually go together. He doesn't have a hectic work schedule that could make him keep late nights. My husband owns his own company but doesn't overwork himself because he has staff that could handle things for him at work. He only shows up when the need arises, maybe like showing up for meetings with other businessmen and all of that. Once he's done, he comes back home to spend the rest of the day with me. For some ladies, that would have loved to have such a man like Nathan because he comes back home to be with them. But for me, I never liked it for a bit because that didn't give me the freedom I had wanted. If he had kept late nights and went on business trips, I would have had the freedom to do whatever I wanted. Anytime the need to travel arises, Nathan would send his personal assistant to go. I hated that part so much and didn't know how to feel about it. I couldn't even say anything so it wouldn't be suspicious. But guys, there was this day that I was very happy after getting to know that Nathan would be traveling out of the town for a business trip. There was nothing he could do about it because his attention was needed on that trip. And at that time, I wanted to go to the club with Lily. I didn't know how to tell Nathan, and I didn't want to miss it. So after hearing that Nathan was going to travel, I was very happy, and the trip was to last for 2 days. After all, a night was what I needed to have the fun I wanted. So guys, Nathan eventually went on that trip even though he didn't want to. He told me that he felt bad leaving me behind and didn't want to go. I told him not to worry, and I teased him by saying it's best he goes so he could make us some money, which we laughed over. I was the happiest person on earth that time, and I didn't feel sad that Nathan was leaving town like he viewed it as. After Nathan left, I had Lily come over to the house so we could go to the club together. I was happy, but at the same time nervous. I thought about how Nathan was going to react if he found out or caught me at that time. Anyways, guys, I eventually went to the club. But I didn't enjoy myself like I should have because I was restless. I kept thinking about if Nathan's trip would be canceled and he would have to come back home and wouldn't meet me at home. I didn't have the strength for any drama or any valid excuse to give him if that eventually happened. The club I went to would have been great fun if I had relaxed. It was just Lily and I that night like we used to. That night was the first club I went to after Nathan and I got married. I had missed it so much then. We got home that night and were happy that Nathan didn't return home. The next day, Nathan called to tell me his trip was extended for a few more days, which I was very excited about. The days Nathan wasn't around, Lily and I went out together to have fun. It felt really good after a long time of not hanging out with her and doing the stuff we usually do together. So guys, I felt alive during that period. That period was the beginning of me going back to my old habits I stopped doing. Gradually, it became worse to the extent my husband noticed because I kept going out and started keeping late nights. I spent most of my time with my husband and didn't go out on my own that much. Mostly Lily came to visit and I went over to spend time at her place also. It was just brief and wasn't the usuals. But since Nathan went on that trip, we started going out often, mostly clubs, which Nathan noticed and kept asking me if I had gone back to my old habits again. I kept telling him that I just needed a breath of fresh air because I was already getting suffocated by staying at home doing nothing. Nathan asked me how I was getting suffocated when we always went out together to have fun as a couple. Guys, that was funny to me because I didn't see what was fun in going out with my husband to a book club and to the theater to see a drama play. It was never fun for me, and I just had to tell him the truth that period. It took me a year plus to open up my frustration to him. Nathan would always tell me he never forced me to do any of those things. He would say he wanted me to change my old habits and find something reasonable to do instead of partying and drinking. He kept reminding me that I was a married woman and shouldn't be seen doing irresponsible things. Guys, that was the major issue Nathan and I always had most of the time. We were living perfectly together before I started yearning to go back to my old lifestyle. I was too attached to have let go of it. I thought getting married would make me responsible and do away with my old habits, but it never did. At least for a year I was able to stay out of it, but I got tired along the line. Now, My marriage of 2 years is about to crumble because of that. Imagine bragging so much about getting married and it didn't even last. If I had known, maybe I wouldn't have bragged about it to my friends. Now I have become a topic of discussion among them. I really messed up my chances with Nathan. He had everything a lady would want in a man. He was not just handsome, but responsible as well. Nathan knew how to communicate so well, but I didn't know how to do that. It just feels like we were a wrong match. Not in 1,000 years would I be able to match up with Nathan's kind of lifestyle. It just wasn't for me, but I didn't know how to communicate that with him. Despite that, he asked me to discover my own type of fun. I just couldn't. In my whole life, I was just used to going out with friends to the club, pool, and other social places to have fun. That was my own type of fun. My knowledge about fun was limited, and I couldn't think of any other one apart from that. That was why I thought about doing what Nathan liked doing. That was the beginning of my boredom. I felt caged even though Nathan didn't really impose his lifestyle on me. He never restricted me from going out or spending time with Lily. Guys, because of how I loved drinking, my husband didn't restock any alcoholic drinks at home. My husband knows how to drink, but he was more of a social drinker. He only drank on specific occasions. Not regularly like me. Back then, I could finish a bottle of any alcoholic wine. Yes, I could. But guys, after everything that happened, I realized what Nathan was trying to say. It took me 2 years to realize it. But unfortunately, it's too late already because my husband doesn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. I feel so bad for everything that has happened. I'm not really proud of it myself. Every time I keep wishing to have done better when I had the opportunity. Now that everything has become clear to me, I can't do anything to change it again. I wish my husband could give me a second chance to show him that I have changed and wouldn't go back to my old habits again. This time I'm really serious about it. Guys, my sudden late nights and going out with Lily more often than usual at that time was the major issue between Nathan and I. He never had a problem with Lily, but didn't just like me hanging out with her at the club. The deal breaker of our relationship was the party that I attended with Lily last week. It was a pool party hosted by one of my close friends, Maya, back then in high school. Maya wanted both her colleagues and friends to gather at her place for a fun time. I wanted to go to the party badly because that was going to be my first pool party after my wedding. I had missed my friends so much and I wanted to meet with them. The pool party was the perfect opportunity for us to meet. Maya made a promise to us that it was going to be great and that we were going to have lots of fun. She also assured us that there were going to be drinks to go round. That part really excited me, and I decided that I was going to the party, and nothing was going to stop me. Not even Nathan would. It wasn't like I was going to a club. It was a harmless pool party, and nothing could possibly go wrong, right? Well, it did. A lot really happened, which I'm not really proud of. I told Nathan about the pool party and my interest in going there, which he didn't do. He told me he wanted me to attend pool parties, in fact, that particular part. He never gave any valid reason for that. I didn't even ask anyway because my mind had been made up to go. I told Nathan that it was just for a few hours and that I would come back home early, even though the party would end. Nathan still didn't agree to it and asked me not to go, which I didn't listen to. I told him it was just a pool party and nothing was going to happen. Nathan responded by saying it was a pool party and anything could happen and asked me to stay at home. The room was silent for a few seconds, staring at each other. Nathan got a call which made him leave the house that morning. I waited for him till when it was time for the party, and he didn't come back. I also tried reaching out to him but wasn't reachable. Well, after waiting and he wasn't forthcoming, Lily and I went to the party together. The party started from around 3 o'clock in the afternoon till late in the midnight. Of course, I didn't have the intention to stay up to that time because of Nathan. I planned on staying for 4 hours before leaving the place. But unfortunately, I didn't leave at that time. Guys, things got out of hand and I stayed till the end of the party. The party was so good that I couldn't leave. Besides, I would have been the only one leaving at that time because none of my friends left before the party ended. We all stayed till the end. At the party, I got so relaxed that I started doing stuff which I wasn't supposed to do. I don't really know what actually happened that night. I think my drink was mixed with something that made me not be myself. I'm very good at handling my liquor. That's why I love drinking a lot, because I feel that it doesn't have any effect on me. But that night was different. I'm not sure if my drink got mixed with something, but I was definitely not myself that night. I acted so funky, not my usual kind of self, anytime I went to parties. pool parties especially. Right after I put on my bikini wear, I went straight to the pool with Lily. It was there I met this young, handsome guy. I had never seen him before, and I had to ask Lily. It was there she told me he was new to the group. Guys, the guy was so good-looking that I couldn't even stop staring at him. At that moment, Lily and I were discussing. Everyone came and joined us in the pool, and before we knew what was happening, the pool was filled. Everyone was busy doing their thing. Lily also got busy with her boyfriend. I was there sipping my wine and was staring at the handsome guy. After some time, we all started playing with the water and danced also. My favorite part of it was how we played with the water, just like we did as kids. It brought back a lot of memories to me then. In the heat of the moment, I went straight to where this guy was to have a conversation with him. I had no idea about what I was doing. I liked him and was hoping for him to come to me, but since he wasn't forthcoming, I just had to do it myself. I got there and said hello, to which he replied back. I also introduced myself, and he did the same. That was how I got to know that his name was Williams. Willie, for short. We got talking and laughing about random stuff that was happening at the pool. The music was so loud that we literally couldn't hear ourselves clearly. We had to whisper what we had to say to ourselves, which made us a bit closer than normal. Just at that moment, I stopped whispering and kissed Willie on his lips, and he kissed back. We kissed for a few seconds before we got interrupted by Maya, that she had an announcement for everyone. We gave her our attention, and she asked us to move to the lounge area for some snacks. So guys, we left the pool and headed over to the lounge area like Maya had instructed. At that moment, I felt like doing some crazy stuff with Willie. Honestly, guys, Willie kissed so good and I. We got to the lounge and continued the party. A few minutes of staying at the lounge, I got pressed and left for the restroom. It took me about 15 minutes before I joined the rest. That was where I didn't know myself any longer. Lily wasn't, and I parted ways at the pool. We were with our friends, so we split to have fun individually. That was the mistake I made. I shouldn't have let her off my side, most especially when I went to the restroom. I'm very sure that my drink got spiked at that point. Willie and I did lots of crazy things together. It got to a point that we left the lounge and went over to a corner. While we were there kissing each other and doing some crazy stuff, I pulled out and apologized to Willie and told him that I couldn't continue any longer and ran out from there and looked for Lily. Immediately I saw her. I told her that we should leave the party now. It was already past 12 the next morning. She asked if everything was okay because I wasn't myself. I told her to get me a bottle of water, which helped me to calm down a little. Lily drove us back home with my car because I couldn't drive. She dropped me off and left for her place. I got home and met my husband seated on the couch with his 2 legs crossed. He looked like someone that wanted to explode. Of course, I needed no one to tell me that I was the one behind his anger, because I went to the party he instructed me not to go to. Immediately, I told him that I was sorry for going to the party behind my back, and told how important the pool party was to me that I couldn't miss it. I also told Nathan that I ended up staying up late because I had a little issue with my car, which gave me a hard time. Nathan just looked at me for a few seconds and then stood up to leave. I asked him if he was upset with me, and he told me he wasn't. After all, I wanted to have fun, which I did. I was surprised at his response because I didn't understand what was going on. The Nathan I met when I walked into the room wasn't the same Nathan that replied to me after telling him what made up, stayed up late that night at that moment. Nathan walked out and went upstairs. I didn't have the courage to follow him because I was scared he might do something funny. I sat on the couch thinking about it. What disturbed me the most at that point was what transpired between Willie and I. We were so close at sleeping with each other that night. Everything kept flashing at my face, and my feet went cold instantly. The next morning, I woke up on the couch. It was at that point I realized that I had spent the night on the couch. I woke up to see my luggages packed in front of me. I thought I was dreaming not until Nathan asked me to get up from the couch and out of his house. He told me the marriage was over and wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. I asked Nathan if what he was saying to me at that moment was a prank or something, and he said he had no time to play some silly prank with me. I asked him if he was ending our marriage because of the party I attended, and he said he was not just ending the marriage because I disobeyed him to attend the party. He asked me not to go, but also I had the audacity to flirt and shamelessly kissed another guy. He said that showed that I had been cheating on him and he wasn't aware of it. At that moment, I acted like I didn't know what he was saying and told him that I hadn't kissed anyone and that he should stop accusing me wrongly. Nathan looked at me with disgust and asked me if I didn't have any atom of shame in me after everything, and that I was lying right in front of him. To back up what he was saying, Nathan brought out his phone and showed me pictures and videos of Willie and I at the party. Guys, I honestly didn't know how Nathan got that. It was then I knew why he reacted the way he did when I made up that lie. He already knew what happened and chose not to react immediately. Nathan told me that he didn't want to hear anything from me and threw my luggages out of the house. Up till this moment, I haven't still been able to say anything to Nathan about the pictures and videos of Willie and I. He didn't give me the chance to explain myself. I honestly want to see him and explain things to him. I'm truly sorry for everything. I want to tell him that I have never cheated on him while we were together, and that what happened at the pool party was a big mistake. It was the love I had for him that didn't make me spend the night with Willie. I felt guilty at that moment and had to leave. The person that sent those pictures and videos to Nathan didn't film that part. I don't even know who it was. Lily and I are still on the hunt for the person that has caused me this pain. Update. Hey guys. I hope you all haven't forgotten about me yet. I'm back with an update to my last post. It's been a month since I last updated you guys, but not to worry, I'm back to do that. Unfortunately, none of the advice I got from here helped me in getting Nathan back. We have both gone our separate ways officially for the last 2 weeks. The divorce was concluded, but not a single pin was given to me. Life has really not been easy since then. Recently, I had to sell my car so I could make ends meet. I'm officially broke at the moment, and I don't have anyone to help me out. My friend Lily has moved out of town because she is getting married in a few weeks. So you see, guys, I really don't have anyone to help me. I also finally got to know the person that sent those pictures and videos of Willie and I to Nathan. It was one of my friends who I had issues with way back in high school. Her name is Jessica. We had never spoken to each other ever since then, and I didn't know that she had me in mind. Jessica did that to get back at me. It's really a long story, guys. I myself don't even remember how the whole thing happened. All I can remember was that we had an issue over a guy. Jessica was also the one that spit my drink. I knew that something was fishy that time. I got to know she was the one behind all of these through the CCTV footage at Maya's place. After getting to know who it was, I didn't even know what to do. On her path, it was more like revenge. I still wouldn't blame her completely because if I had listened to my husband at that time, he warned me not to go to the party, Jessica wouldn't have seen me, let alone fall into her trap. I just can't believe that my longtime beef with Jessica ruined my life completely. It's been over 10 years and she still hasn't moved on? This is unbelievable. Confronting her would be a waste of time. She had every right to be angry. I will just accept this new fate of mine now.